Welcome to another episode of Water Cooler Wisdom. I am Jake Blocker.
And I'm Rachel Grail.
So great to see you, Rachel. Nice to be back.
Yeah, happy to be here. It's always fun. I always get energized when I do these with you, Jake.
I know. So we're continuing to roll out some new formats, and now we're ready for the format number two of four. I'll at least give that away. There are four new formats, maybe a fifth whenever we have, guests. But the second one, pretty exciting one, or at least for me, exciting. I like to nerd out on just random useless knowledge or sometimes useful knowledge, but just
our listeners will be the judge of that.
Yeah, we'll see. But just kind of an interesting, article or reading or something that's going on in the news, something like that. And so we wanted to kind of expand on that. And so for this format, one of us will come prepared with, a topic, an article, something they discovered, whatever it might be. Maybe do a little digging into it and share with the other guests and all of you, of course. And so we'll have a discussion about it.
But I have no idea what Jake is bringing, which is so fun. I love surprises.
Exactly. So I'm doing this the first time. I'm volunteering as tribute for this first one. And then Rachel will, of course, do the next one, and so on and so forth. So, are you ready to dive into this?
I think so. Yeah, let's go.
All right. So this topic that is something that's kind of been on my mind for a little bit. I've talked about it with people here and there. It's around the influencer impact on LinkedIn. How LinkedIn has become a spot for like the Instagram influencer, but now has taken over LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And there's so many pieces to that. I don't think I'll dive into everything today, but I at least wanted to touch on just some of the stuff I notice. And of course, get your thoughts on this, Rachel.
Yes.
But it's, there's good and bad. From when I've been digging into this, there's some great stuff that has come out of this, but also some, maybe even you could go so far as to say harmful, but also like a what even the hell type of things that are going on LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm gonna dive into that topic, and I'll introduce some things and give some of my viewpoints, the good, the bad, the ugly. And Rachel, feel free to chime in at any time.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. What I love about this format is that it kind of gives people into a window into the conversations that we have on the regular. Yeah. It's like we bring topics to each other. And the thing that strikes me right away is that when I'm on LinkedIn, I try to have the framing always of like, I always appreciate seeing people out striving, doing their thing, whatever version that looks like. And some of them align more with what feels like, oh yeah, this feels values aligned, and some align less. And so I just want to, I'm not sure what you're going to say or how you're going to bring it, but the first thing that comes to mind for me is that you listener out there might be going, oh, LinkedIn, and we all have our opinions and experiences. Yeah. And so I think it'll be interesting to have this conversation and think about what value can we derive from noticing what's happening out there in the world.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll dive in. So I'm going to start with a little back in my day. So back in my day, early LinkedIn days, it was, as you may remember, it was much more about, job search, job hunt, seeing what's happening to people, former, current coworkers, whatever, what have you. What are they doing? Some job updates. Yeah, that seemed to be kind of what LinkedIn was. And from the LinkedIn side, I'm sure they probably weren't making a ton of revenue off of that, and hence where we are now. And so flash forward to now, where it is much more content driven, again, for good and bad reasons. So if you open up your LinkedIn feed right now, you're probably going to see just a whole bunch of quote unquote influencers that are filling up your feed. The LinkedIn algorithm is pushing things to you based off of maybe some people you follow or you actually want to know about, and then a whole lot more that are just suggested. And of course, ads in between that. And it's a whole lot less of companies. So for example, company updates are not really there anymore. So I being a marketing person, we have to shift our strategy. So marketers out there will understand that with LinkedIn switching to this, individual content creator driven format, it's no longer on, a company page to put out great content, although we still try to.
Right.
It's on individuals within a company. So now you have to get your CEO or your C-suite to be influencers,
Right.
which good luck with
Right.
that.
And everybody's thinking about what's my personal brand
Exactly.
from a business perspective, and how do I align that with there's this whole human component of it.
Mhm.
I feel like this might align somewhat with the way in which we're looking at. I think it's kind of beautiful in some ways where people are bringing their whole selves to
Mhm.
work. We're kind of more interested in the whole person
Mhm.
in a business context than maybe we were before. There was maybe more of that like separation
Yeah.
or distinction, and yet and
And
yet
yet, not always. Yeah. Yeah. And so we've seen out there kind of, I'll go towards the bad side of this of, if any Redditors out there, if you've seen the subreddit LinkedIn Lunatics, if you haven't, it's great. People post the craziness that the influencers out there are posting on LinkedIn.
There's one of like, I proposed to my fiance, and here's what it taught me about B2B
Exactly.
marketing.
Yes, exactly. So it's this weird clickbait stuff that people are putting out there. And it's those weird ones, but also there's kind of the flip side of it of like 10 things successful people do, which surface level, cool. But what the content actually is like, drink water, exercise. Like, yeah, duh. This is not, this isn't
Yeah.
changing my life. And so these are the things that are filling up feeds. And then what tends to happen because of how LinkedIn does their algorithm is if you look at the comments on there, it's just people being like, this is amazing. This is the best thing ever. Love it. Great. Thanks for sharing. And it's these inorganic things that people are commenting just because based off the algorithm, if they're commenting, their stuff is amplified. So you get this
Right.
echo chamber effect that's happening where you have this kind of useless or weird content that you don't necessarily want that's getting pushed to you just because people are feeding into the LinkedIn algorithm.
Right. And I think those people, everybody's out here trying to do their
Mm-hmm.
best. And I know from talking to people who are in my space of leadership development and coaching that the algorithm giveth and the algorithm taketh away. And there's this pressure to do that 3 tips to optimize your thing, like to do the SEO kind of push. And they think, do I have to do this in order to be successful? And many people feel that this is the way, this is the proven way that we're doing it now. And so they got to kind of hold their nose and generate that type of content. So I think it's such an interesting question. I mean, what do you imagine if you could wave a magic wand, Jake, and make LinkedIn the utopia of business information or networking? What would that look like?
I've been thinking about that when I was writing this out. And honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the answer to this
Yeah.
is because, for me, there are some people on LinkedIn I follow and I get a ton of value out of. And there's like a couple people specifically who are putting out content that's in my marketing world. And it's stuff that, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in this. I also, we're a teeny tiny team of 2 people who have to do a million different things. So if I can follow some of these experts out there who know more about these like niche things within marketing that I don't know about but need to, I can gain a
Right.
lot of value. I've screenshot things, I've pulled things, I've attended webinars based off of some of these people. But
So
then,
people who are sharing what they've learned
yes,
on the
like
road,
true
whatever road
value
they are.
of like, this is something that was interesting to me or that I think that, clients have said this has been valuable. So I want to share this with you. And that stuff I like, I appreciate. And, it's people not afraid to give away their IP. They're like, here it is. I just want to be of value to you. And if you happen to also, want to work with me and be a client, awesome. Otherwise, here's some
Right.
stuff. I just want
Yeah.
to better your marketing. Anyway, that's for me. I like that side of it. I think that side is great. It's what we talked about earlier, the B2B lessons from proposing to my girlfriend. It's these types of things, or the bro influencer, or there's also the side of it that the hustle, the grinds, like really promoting the grinds of, you need to be working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and that's the only way to be successful. There's that really dangerous, harmful side of that, the work to live, or live to work type of mentality that could get pushed out. And people grab onto that like, oh, I guess I need to stop complaining about working extremely hard for my 40 hours and going home and taking a nap. I feel terrible about that. I need to be doing some side hustle. And that's not realistic for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. It strikes me that LinkedIn, as is the case with any of these social networking apps, are a microcosm of the internet, right? So whatever it is that you interact with and you are interested in, there's going to be some version that maybe aligns more with you or less. It kind of goes to what I was talking to. I love your piece about looking for what really gives you value. But what gives you value is going to be different than what gives someone else value. Like someone else is at a different stage of experience or has a different point of departure. And so who are we to know what's going to be valuable to someone else? But I think what I'm hearing and what I experience is just the flood of uniformity, or the dilution of value, because there's the algorithm rewards consistent posting, because that's what drives the business
not quality
model.
Yeah.
And so,
which, I mean, I don't knock LinkedIn that much for that, and there should be something there, but that, like, there's only so much you can do to control. You can't look over every single post that someone is putting out and make sure, is this a quality? Do I need to check in with this expert over here and make sure this is actually a quality? Okay, now this passes all the checks and can go live on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and who's the arbiter of quality?
Exactly.
Right?
That's a bigger issue and worldwide, but it's a weird LinkedIn all around. Like there's more to it, of some issues I'm seeing with the LinkedIn side, and they're a business. They need to make money. I get it. I'm on board with, we live in a society. You have to make a profit. If other marketers out there who experience the advertising side of it, they understand, the workings of that, where if you are a B2B business, LinkedIn is the best platform to target your audience. You can get really niche with who you're going after in the B2B audience, but it's very expensive. And they also try to push their LinkedIn network, which is like external third-party advertising. And they try to push that. And like, that's how you're going to get all the views and all the clicks and everything. And they're not putting it in places that your audience is going to be, or maybe they are. It's just like, I don't want to deal with that. And then there's the job postings, which was, I feel like, the kind of original intent of LinkedIn was around the job networking, all of that. And if you go to a job board, if you go to a LinkedIn job board right now, you will see like probably the first 20 pages of job postings are promoted. It's not like it's a pay to play or pay to hire, essentially. And all of them have like 1,000 applicants each. And so it's like it's just, I feel like it's kind of a sour deal for both sides. Again, I don't know the solution to this. There's a lot of things that go into this.
But it's like back in the day, people would pay to put their job posting in the classifieds. I'm dating myself. I do remember that. And I mean, obviously things were different because the audience was smaller, more localized. It's maybe apples to apricots on this one, but I can see, I see the point of it. And it's such an interesting question of, what do we do when these things run away from us? And I think we're seeing that in so many different ways. I mean, this is kind of a strange analogy, but like peak subscription, like anything that you want to get, now you have to subscribe to it.
Literally
like
everything.
We like to drink this green powder stuff, but I can't just buy it. I have to have a subscription.
Yep.
Like, why can't I do that? So it's like the machine comes for us all.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, I think for me, I do think about how do I interact with this platform in a way that feels values aligned, in a way that feels like I'm representing myself and the people that I collaborate with well. And you're outlining all these different use cases, which I think are really interesting to consider. And I'll be honest, I don't interact with it
Mm-hmm.
to that degree. And I think a lot of people are like me.
Mm-hmm.
There are some key business roles that their lives are on LinkedIn. And many of us out there are just kind of, we're touching in, we're looking for some value. Maybe we want to share a little something every now and again. And the algorithm might not favor us, but I do still think that it's an important opportunity to connect and to have almost like a memory of the people that we've met
Yeah.
in our business encounters.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that point. I feel like, if you scroll your LinkedIn feed, more than likely all the posts you're seeing are from quote unquote influencers, and all the comments on them are from quote unquote influencers. Like us, I don't think I interact with next to anything, which probably my bad as a marketer, but I think that's the yeah, don't tell anyone. I think that's the average user of LinkedIn, is just the scroll in the feed, looking at it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess my little final thoughts there are that, if you are looking to be LinkedIn influencer, which, hey, do you? I'm not knocking it.
Can we call him a LinkedIn
Oh God,
influencer?
I hate
Just is that a thing?
it. Yes, that's accurate. I'm just more upset that I didn't think of it first. Yes, I think, going back to what you said earlier, it is, know your brand, know your personal brand. Which, side note, I do love that is something that's picking up steam, because I think every professional should know their personal brand.
Mhm.
But maybe that's another segment for another time. Anyway,
Mm.
aside, know your brand, know your audience, know the people you want to reach. Is this like, future employers? Is this audience, people, future clients, future people you want to work with, whatever that might be? Think of them, think of what they want to see, think of what they already know and what is going to be of value to
Mhm.
them, and put out content they actually want to see, not what you
Mhm.
think they want to see, or just something you might find interesting, or you think is just going
Mhm.
to get a ton of clicks. Don't clickbait us. Give us something good.
Not looking for the junk food of media content.
No, I want nourishment.
I like that. Nutrient dense
Mhm.
content. Yeah, but that might not be everybody's brand.
It's not. It obviously isn't. Yeah, it obviously isn't.
And again, it's sort of like live and let live. My whole perspective is generally like make whatever choices you want to make. I used to teach a course on personal brand, and I always would say there's no prescription for this.
Hmm.
Like there's no one saying you have to do this or you have to do that. Some people make a whole personal brand about like using expletives and being really edgy or whatever it is. That's not right for
Yeah.
everybody. But it's just about, I think for me, making well considered choices rather than going along with what you think you ought to do. Because I know a lot of people that it pains them to get on LinkedIn and they
Oh yeah.
force themselves to do it because they're dutiful, because everybody's just trying to make their way in the
Hmm.
world. And I don't hold the answers to everybody's success, but I do think that there are some folks out there. I think there's a big population out there that really value authenticity
Hmm.
and value conscientious presentation. So,
Yeah. Agreed. Well,
yeah.
this was our first little share.
Yeah, we'll live to post another day.
Yeah.
I've been putting off posting. Actually, I'm supposed to, but
I need to, but
I know I'm supposed to do it.
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, if you're out
Well,
there,
Rachel, how was this for you? Do you feel educated a little bit, or at least heard on?
well, I'm glad that we talked about it. I'm glad that we talked about it because I think it's almost like a little bit taboo in a way. When you said it, I was like, "Ooh, careful! We
Oh
don't want
yeah.
to like." If you're a LinkedIn influencer, please call us, have a
Yeah, please
conversation. We want to hear from your
share our
perspective.
podcast.
But I'm glad that we talked about it. It does make me think it through. And again, Jake and my opinion we're not the arbiters of truth or quality necessarily, but it is fun to mull this over with you.
Yeah, I dig it. Well, Rachel, this has been great. And
yeah,
we'll catch you
can't
next
wait
time.
to see what I bring you.
I'm excited
as a surprise next time.
Looking forward to it.
Me too.
All right.
I'll see you soon, Jake.
See ya. Thanks for listening to Water Cooler Wisdom. This podcast is brought to you by Interaction Associates, a leading professional development and leadership training organization whose mission is to help people work better together. If you'd like to learn more, visit interactionassociates.com. If you have questions, comments, or are interested in collaborating with this podcast, you can email us at watercoolerwisdom@interactionassociates.com.